Hello everyone. Today we will see something with respect to Hive, right? Hive and Spark. So first of all, what is Hive? Hive is a data warehousing framework. So what is a data warehousing framework? See, there are many databases. So database is like Oracle is a database, then MySQL is a database, SQL Server is a database. These are databases are used for storing data. Now then, what is a data warehouse? Data warehouse, again, when you are storing the data, right, data can be stored in two things actually. So one is a transactional data, like when you go to the railways, you book a ticket, that's a transactional data. So that is like some activity you are doing and you are checking, and you will get whether the record has failed or not failed or something like that, whether you have booked or not booked, and you are going and doing some activity, you are booking a ticket, or you are doing something that is transactional. So that, so the same database, say for example Oracle database, can be used as a transactional database. And there is another thing which is OLAP. That is, this is called OLTP. This is transactional is called OLTP and OLAP. Now what is OLAP? OLAP is also, which I am telling, like data warehousing environment. So that is used for mainly reporting purposes or historical data analysis and all that. Now why that is required? Suppose you have booked a ticket, right? Now I want to see, as a, say, a railway authority, I want to see what was the sale of this month. There's a corona going on. Is there a sales have gone, or sales have gone higher or lower, or it has remained the same? So then I will ask for a report that how much ticket were sold, what is the profit, and how many people have cancelled and all that stuff. So that is a OLAP, that is analytical platform. So that is where data warehousing is being done. So we can say this Hive is a data warehousing framework. So previously we have already discussed, right, that there's a Hadoop is a file system, like NTFS is a file system, Hadoop is a file system, HDFS. So now on top of that there is this Hive, this is a framework. So what is the advantage of this framework? The advantage is that, see, in the Hive, right, you cannot run a SQL. Everywhere they try to take the thing to SQL because it's a standard query language. You can easily write a query and do different stuff, like if you have 5 files, right, and you want to get a join and you can get a data, like previously we have seen the joins and all, so that activity you can do easily. So that is Hive. Now while connecting to the Hive in our environment, when we go, right, we do a docker ps and you get the entry, and you can just go and type in beeline hive, beeline -u jdbc hive 2, and then there should be, I will just select the command here as well. This is the command. So here ideally it should go your whatever local host or your IP. Which IP it should go? It should go to the metastore IP. Now what is a metastore? Metastore is where, see, any database, right, is storing a data. So that should have a metadata. Like for example, there's a table, there are views and different objects in a database. Now where that will be stored, that, okay, I've kept my file there, I've kept my file that location and all, that will be stored in the metastore. So if the system is very bigger, right, then the metastore itself will be another database, because that is itself huge, and retrieving and all will become slower if it is in not in that way. So now once we log in, right, and we type our beeline command, then we can log in to the Hive and we can see, and we can also do all the activities like create table. See, first is you can go and see the database. Database is the biggest, like most databases you have to do. So you can see this default database will always be created here initially in the Hive, and you can go and you can see if there are tables and everything. So database is nothing but, you can think like it is schema for the Oracle users, and it is the same as, it is like all the group of tables and objects are stored inside that. Okay, so you can have multiple, you can create another database. This is actually not a database, we should say it's kind of equivalent to a schema which we say in the Oracle world, or you can say this is a grouping of objects within some place. Okay, so I can create something, some other. So now I am seeing that there are only one employee table. Okay, so this activity what we are going to do today is, we are going to create the table, then store the table and all the operations using Spark. So why Spark? See, there is a framework, right? That framework runs a select and all. So for that you can use .hql files and store it and run through any of the say cron or anything other you can run. But while you are doing the operation, right, you might need a memory based, like to make optimize things to make it faster. So then it comes, you will do that operation to the Spark. So today we will see few of the operations, like we will see the Hive Spark basic operation, as well as we will see little bit of partitions and all. So let's get started. So first is, we will go to our file and we will open the file and we will see what's inside the file. Hive basic operations, right? Basic operations. So what I'm doing, as I was doing last day, right, here only difference is I am using something called this new line. You can see previously also I was doing a Spark session, but I am doing something this line. Now what is this line? This is nothing but when you are connecting to the Hive, right, through anything, through BI or through Cassandra or through any other thing, you need a JDBC driver which will connect, and where it will connect, that will be through Thrift server is what you need to connect. Even if you are doing BI connection or whatever, you have to do through this, right? And you have to have Hive support enabled if you are trying to do any Hive activity. So what we have done, we have stored this file movies in our HDFS. I'll just show you our HDFS, one sec. Yeah, here is our HDFS. So in the HDFS you can see there is the movies. So where is the movies? Movies, as last we were doing, right, we have uploaded the file using this one, this files, and then we can select from our local machine. This is not a local machine, this is, although this is localhost, this is in the Docker. Okay, so nothing to be confused with that. So now next what we are doing, if these tables exist, right, then we can just drop these and create. Now what are these? These are different formats. This is like ORC, Parquet, Avro is also there. I think, yeah, Avro I have not dropped, but ideally I should drop that. So so these are different formats, and different formats are used in different scenarios. What I will do is, along with this video, I will just upload few documents and links where you can go and you can see what are the difference and when to use which one. So I'm not making the video long, I'm just showing the practicality of it, and the theory part I will just post in the GitHub, as well as I will share the detail. So now what I am doing, I am creating a table called movies, which is as text, and then ORC, movies Parquet, right, and Avro. These are the things. Now I am also doing something here. There is a movies, yeah, So this df.load is nothing but my data frame which will have the data. This is the data. So what I am doing here is I am overwriting the data, okay, into movies in my table, that is this one. So I'm taking, it's a simple activity, I'm taking the data frame and I'm loading it, and this can be overwrite meaning that the table which I'm writing will, all the data will be overwritten, so it is like delete and load. So I can do another thing, I can do append as well. Append is like the data will get appended or added extra. So if there are 5 rows, again I run it, 10 rows, then 15 rows, then 20 rows, like that. And overwrite means it will be 5 always, because the existing one, right, even there are 1000 records, all the 1000 records will be removed and it will be loaded. Okay, so I will just do one thing, I'll just type in I and I will copy paste this thing. My mouse somehow is not working. It started working now. So what I will do, I will just copy paste it, put it here, and I will just remove the Avro also. Okay, so do this, and let's run it. Okay, so now 10 underscore spark underscore basic operations. Okay, so run this. So let's see what it does. So ideally all these details, right, slowly what we will do is I will start explaining what all these lines are, what this means, all this which is going, right. So another thing I wanted to make clear while it is running, see this Hive, when it is running, right, that Hive metastore can be two ways. It can be Derby. Now what is Derby? Derby is the database which is in your local, like when you are running, right, and executing, you can have both ways. You can have a metastore, as I was telling, right. See, the metastore is in PostgreSQL, or if nothing is there, right, then you can have in a Derby. So what I am doing, I am currently doing in Derby, because one problem I am facing is this Docker, right, it is not connecting with that, with the metastore of other places. So that's why I am doing. Now I think our thing ran fine. So once it is run, right, another thing is where does it store the data? It stores the data in the HDFS. Okay, so now what I will do is I will just refresh it and then put the data. Okay, so what location it will go? Generally it will go to the location which can be found from by doing a metastore search, that I will show you. So this, 1 second, yeah. So if you go to the Hive database, right, and if you run this, you will see the location where your files will be stored, because when you are creating the table, right, at the back end the table is stored in the HDFS. It is not like any other place, it is in the HDFS, it is stored. So ours is stored in the user Hive warehouse. Okay, so we'll just go. Okay, so now see, these are what I have created. These three, not these three, these four. Now once we go inside, right, we can see what is there inside. See, this is the file. So where I have not mentioned the type, there it is a normal type. If it is I have mentioned something, then that you create it through Avro or something, then it will create an Avro or some other file. But Avro and all, even though we see, right, we will not be able to decipher what it is, because those are inbuilt some file formats. So here we are. So it created all these movies, Avro, movies ORC, movies Parquet. So you guys can do one thing, you guys can also see, this is Parquet. So you guys can also go and run it and check for yourself, because the scripts I will be providing you. Okay, so you can do that way. So now we will go to the next example, which is another Hive example again. So we will go to the next example, which is partition operation. Now what is partition, right? Partition is nothing but we are dividing the table into different compartments. Like in your house, right, you will have a full house. So in that house there is a living room, there's a drawing room, there's a washroom, so and a kitchen. So these are all partitioned, right? The help of partition is that you can easily maintain the data. You can maintain things, right, in your house, right? This is the kitchen. You don't go and start cooking in your drawing room or your bedroom or your washroom, right? So likewise here also, the data which is stored, right, that is partitioned, and that is kept into different partitions. So I will show you the example, probably it will become a little more clearer. See, Hive partition operation. Partition operations. See, here also I am doing the same thing. I am putting this Hive thrift, but I am adding two more new things. Now what are these? So when there is a partition, right, and you divide a table, there's a table you can think like your house. So inside that there will be partition, one kitchen, one different rooms, right? So here also it is there. Now partition also in the Hive world can be two ways. One can be in a dynamic partition and one can be static partition. Now what is dynamic and what is static partition? Static partition means that the partition has to be defined from the first. Like you have to define, this is my kitchen, this is my different rooms, right? Like while you are in office also, you define the meeting rooms, right? This is meeting room 1, meeting room 2, meeting room 3, meeting room 4, and in the meeting room 1 this meeting will happen, meeting room 2 this meeting will happen. But it can be the other way also, right? The meeting rooms are not named and it is dynamically decided, okay, the name will change and we will go, these guys will go in. So either it is fixed, some of the offices and all, you can think like that, see, this meeting, okay, this team, say data warehousing team, they use this room, that room is used by some other, say front end developer, that room is used by managers, fixed, that is. Or else many places what happens, okay, we decide on the go that okay, this room is empty, we will go into this room because managers are having meeting on that other room. So here it is like that. Here we are doing a dynamic. So on the fly we will create the partition and we will put the data. Okay, so what then I am doing is I am dropping the, here I am doing with a JSON format. Okay, JSON I am taking and I have got a data which consists of countries, phone number and all that, and I am doing a partition, that is I am dividing the table based on country. So if there is a country, say India, data will be in one partition, other data will be in another partition. The help of that is I can easily access that, right? When somebody says to you that okay, you go to that room, you can easily access, okay, that room, right? You quickly go in. So that's how it is, for easier access. So I am doing here, this is dynamic, and I am setting these two parameters. If you see these parameters, right, these parameters are needed for dynamic partitioning. So I am doing that. One thing to keep in mind while you are doing a insert into, because after you do this create table, this is a create table, which I have done, you have to insert the data which you have taken from this JSON format. We are taking from a JSON format this data, then we are inserting into this table in this line. Okay, so I've created the table, I have taken the data from my JSON file, and I'm inserting. But there are two ways of inserting the data. I can do a insert into, or I can do another thing which is save as table. So what are the difference? Insert into is nothing but if the data already exists, right, and a table already exists, and I want to do an override of the data or append the data, then it is useful. And save as is used when I want to create a table on the fly with the data. So here we are doing an insert into, okay, and these are the table. But when you are doing insert into, right, you have to be very specific with the sequence of the column where we are doing a partition. Our partition is in country, right? That has to be at the end. So that is why this select is there. Otherwise I could have simply done the upper line, but that is why I have added this line. And then the next thing that I am doing is I am putting this value, and I am adding some columns, and next is I am doing all the partitions, and next I am renaming. I am doing a simple operation where I am renaming the partition, and I am getting the partition names in this one, right? So that is the activity that I am performing. Okay, so next I will just run the code, and I will just show what this code does. Okay, partition. Okay, so this is the one. We let it execute. Hopefully you are able to understand, right, like why we are doing a partition. So there in the partition, right, there is another concept also apart from partition, that is called bucketing. I will just explain that bucketing, but let this partition be over, because once this partition is over, we have to go and see how the data gets loaded in the file system HDFS, and then we can understand that why we need a bucketing. Okay, so next is what we are doing. See here, there are many things going on, broadcast and all that stuff, but those things we are not explaining now. We'll explain a little later. For the time being, what we are doing is we are just seeing into the details of this one, right? Okay, so now let it run. Meanwhile, I will just show you guys few things, one of them being the files and all that stuff. So these are the files which I will be uploading. So let it run. It will take a little time because all the data is also a little huge, so it will be loaded based on the partition, right? So meanwhile, while it loads, let it load. Okay, so these are the partitions. I've also printed the partitions. Okay, so let's go and see how the data got loaded, right? So our data is in this one, right? So in the cust partition, you might have seen this is already existing because I had run it previously also, but now today again I have run it. So once I run it, right, it has come like this. It has not come like previously what we were seeing. We were seeing files with a part 0 something, but here this has created another folder. So that is what partition does in Hive. It creates another folder, and that folder will have the file. So it is segregated by that, right? And that is how it is, like different. These are the partition column. So a new folder is created for each partition value. Okay, these are the details. if you see the data, it will be the same. So that is the dynamic partitioning. So someday I will discuss with the shuffling as well, how the shuffling happens and how the shuffling data gets loaded. But today I will just discuss these, and next we will again see something with respect to incremental load. Now the thing is that people who are in the database world, they know that there is no concept of update in the hive because see the problem is, you at the end you are storing the data in the file system HDFS. Now updating that is a little bit painful activity. So that is why what we do, we take a different approach for updating the files. Okay, incremental load. So now here is the file. Now we are doing, the way we will do is this update. So in a data warehousing environment also that is being done. Same way we are dropping first, this is if the table exists already, then we will drop the employee base one table we have created, and then we are doing an activity of creating another table. See, we previously were doing an insert into, now we will do create as, and we are creating a table here with a save as, right? This, as I told you, not an insert into, this will create a table named employee increment. This does not need any, no need to define the sequence. See, here I have commented out this thing below, create statement is not used, but just to show you that this structure will be created, I have just put it here, otherwise it would not be. So then what we do is we create another such reconciliation view. Now I will show the data, then it will become much clearer. Okay, see what happens is, first time when I come, the data will, this is I am telling where there is an incremental load, that is a load again happening, so you have to update the data, but you cannot update a data, right? Because the data in the world of Hive, update is not that easy because it stores in the backend somewhere. It will take a little time, so I will just show you. Probably it's opened, so here it is. So here it is. First the data is in this format. Okay, rather it is in this format with a header. This is the ID, this is the name, gender, designation, modified application date. Now there are three records: Erin, Jessica and Mason. Now see, Mason was the CTO, but now he is not the CTO. He was the CTO on 1st of January, but now he is not a CTO. He is a jobless. So first initially the data comes as on 1st of January. The data will come as this format, right? Then, or I should say it should come in this format. Yeah, this format it will come where there are 3 rows. Now later on the guy has become jobless, so the data will come on say 2nd of March like this. So my data which should be shown currently on the 2nd of March or as of today should be based on these two, right? Like it should show these two first, Erin and Jessica, and third one, Mason, should show as jobless, but I cannot update in the table, right? So then what is the way around is, I have to write it in a different way. That's what I'm doing here. I'm taking the data from the employee base, that is the normal data. that employee data, then employee incremental data I am taking, and later on I am creating a view based on take the latest data. You partition the data based on the modification date and take the latest data based on the ID, because the ID of Mason will be same, right? Employee ID. So take his latest data with a rank is equal to 1. So then I am dropping the old and I am showing in a storing that in a reporting table. So in your practical scenario, right, you can do that, but this is for the first time. So next time what you have to do, this reporting table which you have created has to go into your base table, because the next day, right, you are starting with that data, then you will again do a incremental on that using this. But this is a view, I am not updating, I am just storing in like a view. So we'll see what happened, whether J6 latest latest job profile is shown or not. So run it. So meanwhile, while it runs, right, I will just tell one thing. See, last time we have seen here this many folders got created, right? So suppose now this becomes very huge number. Countries is 256, but say tomorrow it is based on some other criteria which becomes a huge. This is called high cardinality data, where it becomes very high. So then partitioning cannot help me, right? Because once I partition it, it will become very huge. So that point of time we use a concept called bucketing, which is in Hive. So bucketing, the advantage is that you can define the number of buckets. It's not like partition where see, generally we will use a dynamic, right, wherein we have to put in a different countries. But bucketing, what it will do is it can strategically help you, because you can define the number of divisions, and bucketing works on hashing of the column. So that's what makes things easier. So let it run. So I will show you later in some video how bucketing works, but for now I will not go into that, because that is again another next step. And also I need to show you that what happens when partitioning happens in the backend. See, this is our final output. So as I was showing, right, previously, that the ID he has to show as jobless, right, and see the date also is different. So my view which I created on the table is taking the proper data, saying that show the latest status. So that ID is nothing but it's the primary key for people who are from the database background. So based on that I have taken. So this is one of the way by which I can get the proper data without updating the data. Although this is a strategy, this is not an update, but this is a strategy by which we can do. Okay, so today the things we covered were basically the Hive operations, basic operations till partition, okay, and incremental load also. There can be other things like normal partition also you can do in Spark. I will just show it. That will also do nothing, that will create in the environment, but you cannot run a select and all, right? And just for the information, this whatever we were doing right here, this is this dot SQL, this is called Spark SQL, this thing, okay, this is the Spark SQL. So this is, you are running SQL on Spark, fine. So that's for today. I think later on we'll connect and we'll go into deeper, like what happens when the partition happens, what kind of, because for that we need to see this logs and we will understand what happens, what is the stage, what tasks get triggered, and what goes through internally in the system. But for that first we need to understand what are the different components, like this partition is one, previously we understood different others, right? So all of those we will cover, then we will go into detail understanding what happens in the background. Okay, thanks everyone, thank you, bye.